On a cold winter morning in Iceland, back in 2020, I was sitting in my office. For over a decade, football had been my main identity. It gave me passion, purpose, money, and let's be honest, attention and external validation. I was kind of a big deal. And the worst part, I loved it. But something had shifted. I stopped caring about matches, training, and the game itself. My friend asked me to write down an answer to this simple question. Why are you still playing football? I wrote for an hour, and when I put the pen down, I felt it in every cell of my body. I needed to quit. While I felt a sense of relief, I also felt terrified. That night, I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, thinking to myself, if I wasn't a football player, who was I? A nobody? Failed dream? My value was measured in titles and tackles and how other people saw me. But now I couldn't even see myself. The next morning, I booked a meeting with the coaches, team members, and the board members, and told them, to their surprise, I was quitting. That decision flipped my life upside down. I left the sport that shaped me, I ended an 8-year relationship, and I moved to LA, all in 2 years. I would be a complete stranger to myself, but I wouldn't change that for the world. See, we think of change as losing ourselves, but in reality, it's an invitation to become the person we're meant to become. What if change wasn't a threat, but an adventure who shapes who we are? Good catch. Deciding to stop playing football wasn't just one moment of clarity. It was a promise I made to myself long before I knew what it truly meant. In 2018, I felt a crushing failure and rejection. My former football coach bullied me for months in front of the whole team. It was brutal. Twice, I wanted to speak up. Twice, I held back. Ashamed, if I did, I might cry. This didn't just make truth my value, it became a principle. And looking back, what kept me moving forward wasn't just pure resilience, it was psychological flexibility. The ability to adapt, shift perspective, and make choices aligned with your values, even when life throws obstacles your way. One key mechanism of psychological flexibility is focusing on what matters while filtering out distractions. I could have fixated on the rejection and the fear that my soccer career might be over. Instead, I focused on the bigger question. Who do I want to become? And let me tell you, that was no picnic. These goddamn existential questions didn't leave me alone. Who am I? What matters to me? What is my role in this world? What the hell am I supposed to do now? These questions are so daunting that it's easy to push them away, not realizing that the gold lies in sitting with them and reflecting on them. And that's exactly what psychological flexibility also requires. To sit with discomfort, with an open, receptive awareness of thoughts and emotions, rather than labeling them as bad, avoiding, or numbing them. When you develop this muscle, you stop fighting your emotions and thoughts, and you start learning from them. Instead of treating discomfort as a threat, you recognize it as information, guiding you toward what truly matters. I'd love to tell you that you can develop psychological flexibility in a 10-minute self-care Sunday, but I'd be lying. It's messy, it's uncomfortable, it's ongoing. But you can't train it. Just like when you're getting into shape, it takes reps, mental reps. Sitting with discomfort, allowing your mind to wander, and giving yourself space to reflect. And that's way harder than lifting weights. But it's worth it. because through those reps, you might stumble on a hard, meaningful truth. A realization that calls you to change from the person you were into the person you're meant to become. From the life you planned to the life that is waiting for you. For me, that truth hit hard. After months of wrestling with these questions, armed with the education I was getting in my master's psychology program, I got a realization that changed everything. I wanted to understand what makes life meaningful and then teach everybody how to achieve it. Fast forward 2 years, and I transitioned from being a football player to having a successful business around my new mission. I hosted one of the most popular podcasts in the country, coached influential people and organizations, secured a PhD grant, and I had 10,000 followers on Instagram, which per capita is basically 9.7 million in the USA. And because of that, I got everything for free. Haircuts, free. Groceries, free. Clothes, free. My only fixed cost was a $300 mortgage. I was driving home from a talk once where I just started crying. Not out of sadness, but out of gratitude. I was living the life that I had only once dreamed about. But something deeper was quietly calling me when I found myself awake at 2 a.m. applying to PhD programs in the US. Several months later, I opened an email on the 9th of March 2022 from Claremont Graduate University. It read, "Congratulations, Bergsveinn. We accepted your PhD application this morning. If you thought quitting football was scary, this had me absolutely shitting my pants." Another call to adventure, but now it wasn't an escape from misery, it was the risk of leaving something that was already good. My mind was like a human seesaw. One day I was going, the day after I was staying. In between, sheer panic. This time, I learned one crucial thing, outsmarting fear. My mind locked onto everything that I might lose. My business, funding, freedom, people. Beggi, are you really going to walk away from the life that you worked so hard to build? What if it doesn't work out? What if it's a wrong decision? What if I lose? Our minds are wired to fixate on loss. In the past, missing a threat meant death, so we cling harder to the negative than the positive. But that wiring keeps us stuck. I knew there was another side of the same coin of fear, courage. So I started reflecting on what I would gain. What if this is the right decision? What if it goes well? What if I win? Increased expertise, the adventure of living in another country, people I'd meet, the stories I'd collect, the doors that might open, the chance of building something bigger, to contribute to the world in a way that football never allowed. While understanding what we're walking away from is smart, fixating on what we are losing is not. The real game changer is also reflecting on what we could gain. And doing so counteracts the negativity bias and gives us more data when we're making a difficult decision. This reflection was necessary, but not sufficient. I was still shitting my pants out of fear. So I needed something stronger. So I looked for an advice from an unexpected source, future me. And I wrote a letter from him to me. And as I read the letter back, I noticed he played a little sneaky trick on me. He said, "Beggi, if you're serious about helping people live a meaningful life, you get on that plane. If you don't, you'll one day wake up and realize that you choose comfort over courage. Worse, you walked away from the ultimate sacrifice of becoming who you could become to make the impact you're meant to make. And that regret, it will never leave you. My future self didn't just challenge my fear, it completely flipped it from what I would lose to what I would regret. And to be fair, that guy was onto something. Because people regret the risks they didn't take far more than the risks they did take. 76% of people's biggest regrets is not fulfilling their ideal self, their dreams, not their duties. I folded up the letter, booked the plane ticket, and answered the call. It's hard to articulate the emotional roller coaster I was on when the plane was taking off from Iceland to LA. Was I afraid? Excited? Both? My belly was screaming something like, this is it, you're going on an adventure. At first, novelty carried me forward. Coming from a population of 380,000, the world felt massive. People were also so diverse, and I found that fascinating because Iceland is probably one of the most homogeneous countries in the world. It just felt like I had landed in a different reality. After a few months, the novelty wore off and the reality kicked in. This is my life. Holy shit. I struggled with mattering to the world. I went from being this kind of a big deal, recognized everywhere, to a student that nobody knew, wandering the aisles of Target, wondering which peanut butter I should buy. During a weekly call with my best friend, I totally broke down. He listened, paused, and then he said, Beggi, you have to clear your calendar this afternoon. You're going to host an identity funeral. You're going to say goodbye to Icelandic coach and podcaster Beggi and give space for American researcher Beggi to rise. He knew I loved Batman, so he asked me, what would Batman do? And I responded, Bruce Wayne would disappear into the Batcave, train, build his skills and strengths, and then come out as a version of Batman that the world had never seen before. That sounded epic to me. So I went out for a dramatic walk. Hans Zimmer's in my ears. I breathed in the sunny Californian air, and I whispered to myself, Icelandic coach and podcaster Beggi, thank you. You've served me well. But now it's time to give space for American researcher Beggi to rise. Rituals helps us process change, whether that's getting a tattoo, growing out your hair, or jumping out of an airplane, or hosting your own identity funeral. But that wasn't just symbolic, it was a psychological necessity, closing one chapter and stepping fully into the next. We often cling too tightly to our past identities, thinking they will protect us. But they don't. They trap us. And we suffer as a consequence because we're no longer able to fully express who we are. The truth is that the version of you that once thrived may no longer serve the person you're becoming. That's why you must let old parts of you die, so newer, greater ones can emerge. And in that process, you won't lose yourself. You'll finally meet yourself. And this is the catch of transformation that nobody talks about. It isn't just about becoming someone new. It's about having the courage to meet the person you've always been beneath the identities you have accumulated. To grow into the beautiful person you already are. Today, I stand here with purpose and passion, realizing that my current achievements, the work I do, and the life I live will be completely unrecognizable to my football player self. But the real reward of an adventure isn't found in metrics. It's the person you've become, the wisdom you've earned, the courage you've built, the resilience you've developed, and the unforgettable people and experiences that have shaped you. And the best part, you're now called to turn your internal transformation into something that serves the world. And there's nothing that beats that. The truth is, the call to change isn't just an invitation, it's your responsibility. And life is not about being who you are, but expanding into who you should become. So maybe you should follow your inner truth. Put some mental reps in. Think about what you can gain instead of what you will lose. Maybe you should vote for the person you can become. Let old parts of you die so newer, greater ones can rise. Maybe as a consequence, your life will be a blessing, not only to you, but also to the world. Maybe it's time. Stop waiting, stop doubting, to finally take your own call to change. Because maybe, just maybe, you are the hero in your own story. Thank you.